Here we have the 2017 TX300. I'm going to do just a real quick review of the bike. I picked it up just about 3 weeks ago now, and as of right now I haven't been doing as much riding as I'd like to be able to, but right there on the hour meter, 4 hours right there. So just a real quick review. Overall the bike has been phenomenal. It's been a great bike, well worth the money that it costs, the investment that I put into it. Pro taper handlebars, really like those. I've been a fan of Pro Taper for a few years now. I've had them on my CRs. Really like them. I enjoy the bend on them. Fits what I'm used to and what I'm comfortable with. The Magura hydraulic clutch is phenomenal. Has great feel, easy manipulation, single finger manipulation if needed. On the other side you have the Brembo brakes, the front brakes over here. And the Brembo front brakes are awesome. If you've never ridden a KTM or Husqvarna or any other brand that comes with the Brembo brakes, you're really missing out. Unfortunately, the Japanese brands their brakes just aren't even comparable. This is the mapping switch from 1 and 2, changes up the engine characteristics a bit. I ride on 1. I've messed around with it a couple times on 2, but really I just leave it on 1. I haven't been anything that's been real loose and giveaway where I thought that I would need to use 2 or that I thought 2 would be beneficial, but I just stick with 1 and it works awesome, works phenomenal. The air forks on the bike, the AER 48s, I'm super happy with them. I couldn't ask for a better fork, truthfully. When I got it from the dealer, it was pretty low. Book recommends 9.6 bar. In fact, the forks do right here on the throttle side, recommends 9.6 bar. In the book, that basically, and when you put the gauge on it, your gauge will give you bar or to give you PSI. 9.6 bar equates to, I gotta remember, 130 something PSI essentially. I first pumped it up to 142 PSI. Right here's the valve stem where you would connect it, or the valve stem style connector. You just unscrew the cap here, and then you screw your air pump that comes with the bike into it. The digital readout tells you how much pressure's in there. Had 120, I think, when I first picked it up. I went up to 142, went riding in the foothills here where I live, and I was getting a lot of feedback through the front wheel, through the front end, so I just pulled that valve cover off, that valve stem cover off, and just with a couple quick taps, let some air out of the forks, and it was awesome. And so I'm riding right now at like 132 PSI in the front forks. When I go to the track, I plan on bumping it up and testing it at the track. But for single track riding out in the hills and stuff, 132 for me is working awesome. I weigh about 155 pounds without my gear. Moving along, the gas tank, really like the clear tank that Husqvarna and KTM comes with. Fair warning, once you get down in this range here, it's going to make you go from on to reserve. And if you switch over to reserve, it's time to get out of the foothills. Don't go deeper. The seat, really have liked the seat. It's got a lot of good grip to it, and it feels good. It feels like it's going to last. A lot of guys have complained about the Husqvarna and the KTM seats in the past. This one I'm real happy with, and I'm really liking it. This is the airbox cover right here. There's 1, 2, 3 plugs that kind of just plug into the bike, so that when you want to take or access the air filter, you just pop those out, and then the whole air filter or the whole side cover slides up the bike off the 2 hooks that are right here, the 2 fasteners, and then it all comes off so you can get off without tools and access your air filter if you need to do your maintenance with it. The composite subframe, the polymer with the carbon fiber in it, is awesome. Feels super strong, it's super sturdy. Doesn't give me any pause to pick the back end up by it and throw it around and do what I need to. So really liking the composite subframe that's on the bike, and it's really sturdy. The bike itself, or the motor, once you get down into here, the counterbalancer shaft, really it works like they claim. Really reduces the vibration. The bike just feels really good, really strong, really solid. The one complaint is the reed cage. So the stock reed cage on the bike, I had heard and read other reports from other guys that had like the TE, and they were talking about how the reed cage doesn't seal from factory. I finally opened mine up because I was having some mid-range issues with jetting, so I opened up my reed cage, and yeah, the stock reeds They're an imitation of the V-Force reed valve. It is not the reed force though. It's Husqvarna's, whoever they're purchasing this for, but it's designed and shaped like the V-Force. And the inner reeds, the inner carbon fiber reeds on the calendar balancer side here did not seal. So I did a little bit of work on those by hand and got them to seal better, a little bit better, so we'll see how it rides now. Pilot jet, my bottom end is awesome. Main jet, the top end, phenomenal. Mid-range is awesome as long as you're, the best way I can describe it is giving it something. If you just want to go into like a cruise control mode, it's not liking that one bit. So I'm still going to mess around with couple different needle jets. I'm going to purchase one more beyond the two that came with it, mess around with that and see if I can't get it to run a little bit better, kind of in that. If you just get in a gear and just want to kind of cruise a trail and hold it in one position, it doesn't like that so much. But as long as you're giving the bike something, whether you're down as low as it can lug before it's going to die on you, or you're in the highest RPM range you can get it to max out to, as long as you're giving it something, it really likes it. It runs phenomenal. And so that kind of cruise control choppy feeling, that might just be the characteristic of the bike. I'm not real sure yet. Front and rear tires are the Geomax, Dunlop Geomax ATs. The 81 is the front, 81F, and the rear is the same thing, Geomax 81, AT81. Really good tires so far. Been happy with them. I'm in a hard terrain area and got a lot of shell rock and stuff, and so after 6 hours, they're just kind of starting to round up a little bit, but they're holding up pretty good. If we move over to the other side of the bike, fit and finish on the bike is really nice. Again, rear brakes, the rear Brembos, phenomenal. The rear shock, I'm really, really happy with it. Super easy to adjust. Just loosen the locking clamp right there. You just loosen that. Once the bike's on the stand, you can just grab the white spring itself and twist it to either give it more tension on the spring, or untwist it to reduce the tension on the spring, whichever you need, and it'll twist the locking nut with it. Really easy to adjust. Feels super plush, super good. Really happy with it. Haven't even used the Kickstarter once. Haven't even tried it. It's got up here on the throttle side, it's got the electric start, and the electric start works phenomenal. So haven't even messed with the kickstart. The only thing that when I ride this bike versus my CR250, the only thing that I've had to really kind of focus and adjust to is the rear brake. This one, the Husqvarna, it seems that this must not be either as big or it's in closer to the housing here, because there's been a couple times I've gone to grab rear brake and my foot was too far away from it and I would miss it, so I've had to adjust my right foot riding position just a little bit to make sure I can grab a hold of my brake when I need it. I went from the stock, it comes with the mid-range spring for the valve for the hit. It's the yellow one. I went to the red spring, which is supposed to be a harder hit. It's a lighter spring so that the valves can open up easier, quicker. And I really like the setting that it has with that red spring in it. I really liked it truthfully with the yellow, with the mid-range one too, but I'm definitely liking having the red spring in there. And it's really easy to change out. 2 screws right here, pull them out, the assembly comes off. As long as you just have kind of like a clean rag, there's a couple different springs in there, and you just pull the yellow spring out, put the red one in, and reassemble it all, and just crank these 2 down evenly and torque them back to spec. Really easy. Pipe is really good. The bottom end on this thing is phenomenal. Top end's been wonderful. I really like the pipe, and it feels a lot better than I have a buddy that I ride with as the 2013 XCW by KTM, and when the 2 bikes are together, it's pretty easy to tell that this pipe is a higher quality. In fact, his pipe's not even on his bike anymore. He had to replace it because the welds on it broke. So we were just comparing the 2 to see, and this pipe's definitely better done than that 13 XCW was, unfortunately. What else? I'm just trying to remember all the things that I was wondering about when I was looking to purchase the bike. The bike comes set up with everything, and it appears it would have everything that the TE comes with. When I got it from the dealer, right here there's just about 3, maybe 4, if I remember right. There's 3, possibly 4 connectors that are all wired, and they were just sitting random back in here, and I didn't like that, so I kind of huddled them all together and taped them up. But you've got connectors for like a headlight, you've got another connector for if you did the odometer, and another connector for whatever else the TE came with besides the odometer. And so it comes with all that right there. So if a guy wanted to, he could just buy the headlight kit like for the TE, and it's already wired up. You just have to plug it in and use it if you wanted it. And then the front rotor has right here, it's the same rotor that's on the TE, so if a guy wanted to, he could put the odometer on there as well, and put the magnet pickup right there so that he would be able to get all those readings. The fork guard, you'll see right here, has the 2 channels. Here's the brake line, and then here's another channel for another cable system that you can run right through it, and then plenty of room right here, same in this number plate, or if you got the headlight kit, but it would have that same thing. You run your wires and everything right up out next to the brake line. That's kind of the TX right now in a nutshell. Just real quick, kind of give everyone a little bit of a review of what I found so far in it. I've been super happy with it. The only thing I'm working on is the mid-range, that needle jet, see if I can make that be a little bit better. Other than that, phenomenal bike. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment and I'll try and answer them for you. Thanks.